one of the big headlines here is looking to the weekend weather, and that's why our Chris Mulcahy is here in the house in the Impact Studio. Chris, we're looking at some severe weather this weekend, right?
And you're saying here in the Impact Studios that we cover just not locally, but then also national stories.
That's right.
This is going to be a national story. This is going to be our first big tornado outbreak, and that's not just here in the Carolinas. Yeah, we have a chance for tornadoes. Now, I'm talking about really along in either side of the Mississippi River today, and then tomorrow in Alabama, over in Mississippi, those areas in general. You're looking at what's called long track supercells. These are supercells, vicious storms. Usually 100% of them produce hail of some sort, and about 30% of them produce some sort of tornado. It's those the ones that usually produce the EF2s, 3s, 4s, and even 5s. I'm not calling for an EF5, but I wouldn't be surprised if you are going to hear a couple of EF3 tornadoes, which is winds ranging really about 136 to 165 miles per hour. So a devastating story, but that line is all heading our way.
Terrible. And then even when it does get here, it's really intense. So we've got a lot of folks on standby for Sunday for full coverage, and you're looking, just this picture alone, severe weather risk looks quite intimidating.
Yeah, and the biggest time that we've been trying to look at is when is the line going to arrive. But really, this is going to be so powerful, and this is very similar to what we had on Wednesday. Now, Wednesday, it was a lot of false alarms for a lot of people. You had a severe thunderstorm warning, it was raining, the winds picked up, but there wasn't a lot of damage. There was only that one spin-up tornado. But we do this, not that everyone is going to be impacted, it's just that somebody's going to be impacted. And you still saw damage in several businesses that were around the area, to homes, and then a scare for a lot of kids that are being dropped off at school at the local high school in North Monroe. So kids are luckily going to be out of school at that point, so that's why I'm here to say be weather aware and maybe avoid what you're planning on doing on Sunday morning. Now, the good news for us is we are starting to see the timing shift a little bit. So I want to show you a run through of this futurecast. So we're going to put this in loop. This is exactly what we're seeing. So in general, we're going to see the timing of this. See 4 o'clock, 7, 9, 11 to 1, it's pretty much out of here. Now, rolling that loop, what thing is really interesting, if you look really closely, you can actually see a little bend in a bow and a squiggle that's associated with this. That's what we're talking about. This is a QLCS. This is a quasi-linear convective system, but that's a fancy term for this is a line of storms with squiggles. And it's those little squiggles, those little notches that allow for a little spin up, and that's exactly what we saw, and I think we will see on Sunday. If this was happening during the mid to late afternoon, this is a major severe weather breakout. So we can thank our lucky stars it's coming at a better timing. Same thing happened on this previous Wednesday's event, but that officially happened, that tornado, around 8:35 in the morning. And our window of opportunity is about 7 to 9. So what I would suggest is I usually like to give an hour buffer. So even though I'm going to show you this graphic right here, it's all in the red. The Charlotte area, I have it under 7 to 9 in general. I really think it's about 6 to 9 that I really want to keep people aware along the I-77 corridors. You can see there, and that 10 to 1, still think it's going to verify around Albemarle and Wadesboro. It's still 2 days out. And so oftentimes these systems tend to speed up compared to slow down. And the reason why is this line of storms sometimes is driven further because of the internal winds. Because think about that. You have severe thunderstorm warning saying wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour. Well, the line could be moving at 45, but then it starts moving at 60 miles per hour because the internal winds are dragging it forward. So I think that there's a better chance that this really comes maybe between 6 to 8 from Gastonia to the Charlotte area, but I'm going to keep that 6 to 9 window alive for now. The main threats, heavy rain, dangerous lightning, as we typically see. It's a lot more unstable. It's more humid. Temperatures are starting off in the 60s. So put that in perspective. The 60s. It was the day that we had the tornadoes. We only had highs in the 60s. So it's a lot warmer. The more moisture in the air, the more warm it is, the more unstable it's going to be. So this is a pretty much picture example, exact carbon copy of what we had this previous Wednesday, but you have the better environment that could be starting to spin things up. So again, stay weather aware across the Charlotte area, really 6 to 9, but even the mountains, you're going to be under the gun as far as, I would say really close to about that 4 to 6 o'clock window. The storms that are already going to have a history of likely producing tornadoes or severe thunderstorm winds over 70 miles per hour, they're going to be on your doorstep while many of us are sleeping.
Good to know. I'm so concentrating on this picture here because I told you yesterday I've got to take this road trip out to the east, and I'm going to hit this on the way back. But this is not a total washout either. Once this does pass through on Sunday, folks should be okay if they need to go outdoors or whatever.
These type of events, I always like to warn people, though, because here in the Carolinas, this is going to be a decent rain. Because oftentimes with the QLCS, is what you could actually have is if you look at the radar, it's light to moderate rain. So picture that as the light green to a dark green to some spots of yellow. You're like, okay, it's just raining. But what's really vicious about a QLCS, typically, especially this time of year, we saw this on Wednesday, within that is actually a thin yellow or orange line. That's the cause of concern. So it's actually embedded, and oftentimes these are rain wraps, so they're extra sneaky. The example of what happened on Monroe, it was actually visible from the sky. So that's why the National Weather Service actually went out there much earlier than they usually do, because someone actually saw it. So there will be some spots that maybe you will be actually able to see it, but many times a tornado is just swirling winds. If it doesn't have debris, rain, clouds, you can't see it. So there was going to be a chance of that wind could be just whipping in a circle, and it's just embedded in that rain. So that's why I want people to just avoid it entirely. So many of these severe weather events or bad weather events, if you're prepared and you don't challenge it, you're usually okay. It's the ones that kind of defy the odds that usually lead to trouble.
Good to sleep in if you can. But I mean, you're talking about tornadoes, so remind everybody what we can do to stay safe in our house, in our car, what people need to think about.
Oh, yeah. The best thing is, since you have the wireless emergency alert system, it goes to your phone. It's a terrifying tone if you haven't heard it before, and most likely you have if you live here. And that's going to tell you, hey, get to the most interior side. But then also the advantage is Brad Panovich is going to be here with Becker Birdsall on Sunday morning. And no one's better than our team, I'm going to say that. And that's not just because I'm a part of it.
Absolutely.
I think it's going to be your best example, because oftentimes a tornado warning, it could be really just a small section, very small area, less than a mile that's impacted. But meanwhile, the warning can be up to 20 miles wide. And I will say, there's an advantage for me when I'm looking at it. I was like, okay, it's right here. I don't need to get to my interior part. But the best thing is, what I would say is, get into your interior as soon as you can. You can leave the TV on loud, but you can also access our weather impact show, our live streaming on our WCNC app. I think that's a great tool, because actual WCNC Plus is just on your TV, but it also is live streaming the same information on your app. So what I would often say is, like, hey, if Brad's giving the all clear, he's really good about that. Hey, you're in the clear, you're good to go. And we're going to be cutting in live to programming and on WCNC Plus if there's any warnings. So that's my best bet. The good thing with the timing is, maybe a lot of people don't want to get going at that point, but beyond that, I kind of got off track. There's always a lingering threat. If there's a line of severe storms, sometimes it can weaken the integrity of a tree. Well, it's still going to be breezy behind this front. So gusts up to 30 to 40 miles per hour could bring down the leftover branches that are otherwise snapped, or it could also bring down some trees that are ready to go anyways. So just kind of be cautious that there could be a couple of leftover falls a little bit later on, because it's still a very windy day beyond this.
All right. Very good. As always, Chris Mulcahy taking care of us, giving us what we need to know, the information with your future and severe weather. So we will stay weather alert through the weekend, certainly on Sunday.
On a last note, because I like to bring the fun as well. Happy Pie Day, everybody.
Oh,
yes.
I have it on my notes. It is Happy Pie Day.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, it's okay. I totally forgot.
Yeah.
I forgot. Do you have a favorite pie, by the way?
See, I don't know. When Ben asked me this, I turned blank, and Ben had the best answer. He's a seasonal pie guy. I think I'm the same way.
One, sure.
I'm a big pumpkin fan. I'm not like a go-to pie guy. I'm not seeking out pie, but if it crosses my path like I did today, I had a great time.
All right.
So.
Apple. Apple's mine.
Apple, that's what we had. There's actually, once you're done with this, maybe it's still some leftover. There's some apple pie out in the break room.
Your leftover apple pie?
Well, it's not leftover. It's just three. No, like slivers of a pie. There's probably like 66% of the pie.
3.14?
A little bit more than that.
Okay. All right.